Bruh, I'll tell you, man, when I got the news on this whole situation, your boy had some serious PTSD, and we gonna get into it in this video. But first, y'all know how we do. Intro. Yo, it's me, your boy, JJV, saying welcome to another reaction video. Yeah, not doing the whole fancy intro on this because I don't think it would be appropriate. Let me see if I can get rid of this. The red square here that I'm dealing with on my display. Alright, there we go. So yeah, as you guys are very much aware, at least those of you who've been following me for a good minute, most of you know. And then if you caught my Hulk Hogan tribute video, a lot of you guys know I am a big time wrestling fan. No surprise. So what happened was, as you can see here in the point with this hand, there you go. In this image here, you're seeing two gentlemen here, right? The gentleman on the left, at least on your guys' left, is Raja Jackson. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. If I'm mispronouncing it, I do apologize. And he is the son of legendary MMA fighter Quentin Rampage Jackson. Yes, that is his son. And the gentleman you're seeing right next to Raja, who is on your right, that is Syko Stu, who is an indie wrestler. And he actually was wrestling for, I believe it's Knox Pro Wrestling. I think that's the name of the wrestling academy that he wrestles for on the indie scene. Which I found out the academy is actually co-owned by none other than Rikishi. So if you're WWF Attitude Era fans, you should be very familiar with that name, as he is one of the predominant members of the first wrestling family known as the Anoa'i family. That's the same family who gave us Yokozuna. That's the same family who gave us The Rock. Same family who gave us the Usos. And hold on, let me adjust the mic, so I want to make sure I'm not coming in hot on the mic. You know what? I kind of like that the mic was off screen, so let's see if we can keep it off screen while still keeping it somewhat close. So yeah, apologies, y'all. Apologies. Anyway. Same Anoa'i family that gave us, you know, High Chief Peter Maivia, Haku, aka Ming. I mean, I can go on and on. There's a lot of wrestlers came from that family. But anyway, you get the idea. And so apparently they asked Raja Jackson to make an appearance, or at least one of the wrestlers invited him to make an appearance at this indie academy to, I guess, do a run-in or some kind of spot, something. And I guess Syko Stu, or excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. Raja Jackson was actually live streaming him being at the event. So he was backstage with his friend who was holding the camera and filming everything, right? And Syko Stu, being the professional wrestler that he is, I guess he figured, you know, hey man, you got your boy there with the camera and everything, so you know, it must be go time, right? And so he grabs an empty beer can, which I don't know if it was a gimmick beer can or real beer can, but either way, Syko Stu proceeds to hit Raja Jackson over the head with the empty beer can, smashing the beer can, and Raja did not sell it. And Syko Stu was basically telling him, like, dude, I mean, are you gonna sell it or what? Like, what's going on? And I guess Raja took that as some form of challenge. Yes, Raja is getting into the MMA, or at least he was following in his father's footsteps. And I guess he's not really much of a wrestling fan, so he doesn't know, you know, when wrestlers are working or when they're being legit. You know what I'm saying? He's not that well versed into the wrestling world as some of us are. You know what I'm saying? And so I guess he took that shot that Syko Stu gave him as a show of disrespect. And so basically he squared up to Syko Stu, and of course some of the people at the academy had to get in between them because otherwise it was going to get ugly. And I guess they managed to get the two of them apart long enough for cooler heads to prevail. Raja did approach Stu later on, and Stu basically told him like, hey, look, man, my bad. I mean, I just saw that there was a camera there, so I thought we were on. You know what I mean? I thought it was go time, and I thought we were working, and I wasn't aware that, you know, team here didn't smarten you up. You know what I mean? On you know, the whole show aspect of, you know, our world. So, you know, my bad. You know what I mean? That's my fault. That's my bad. And you can hear Syko Stu actually apologize a few times, and then even offered to shake Raj's hand to let him know, like, hey, look, man, no hard feelings, all right? Look, again, my bad, you know? And they did shake hands. Now, every real man knows, you know what I'm saying? If you take a man's hand, right, and you shake his hand after he apologizes and shows you that respect, that usually means shit is settled, shit is squashed. It should be behind you now, right? Well, later on, in the backstage area, the wrestler who invited Raja, he was like a cowboy. I guess he's like some kind of cowboy. That was his character or whatever. I forget the dude's name. I'm gonna have to look it up. I've only watched this once because, again, you know, there's a portion in the video that triggered my PTSD that I didn't realize I had. And again, I'll explain why. All right. So anyway, this cowboy dress wrestler was basically telling Raja, I guess Raja told him what happened. So dude was telling Raja, well, dude, since homie did that to you, you need to get your receipt. Now, in the world of professional wrestling, the term receipt doesn't mean what those of us on the internet be using it for. You know what I mean? In like, in terms of like proof. No, a receipt in the world of professional wrestling means payback. I've heard stories from Maven on his YouTube channel. I've heard stories from Steven Richards, and I've heard stories from Undertaker. So usually what happens is sometimes during a match, sometimes in the heat of the moment, you know what I mean, you're pumped up, you're excited, you're hooked up on adrenaline, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes your opposition may get you with a legit punch, kick, you know what I'm saying, that wasn't warranted. And or, you know, they'll take certain liberties with you and hit you for real. And unless, you know, you had the green light to do so, because again, sometimes real shots do get greenlit to help sell the match to the fans. But if someone is taking liberties without permission, then you basically have a right to give a receipt. Someone hits you with a single real punch, you get them back with a real punch. If they hit you hard with a clothesline, you get them back with a hard clothesline. If they kick you for real, you kick them back for real. You know what I'm saying? Tit for tat, basically. And so the cowboy was telling Raja basically, yeah, go get your payback, go get your receipt. And so, and Syko Stu was nowhere around to hear this. So anyway, let's fast forward a little bit. So Syko Stu is having his match with somebody, right? And Raja was sitting front row, and I guess he was still streaming, and people in his chat were basically egging him on, telling him like, dude, you can't be no bitch, you can't let that dude get away with that shit, you know what I mean, you better get some payback on that dude. So basically they were pumping him up, hyping him up and everything, and encouraging him, yo, go get that dude back, go even the score. Well, he ended up doing more than just evening the score. Evening the score, if I can speak without my voice squeaking, if I can even talk. My bad, y'all. I just got off work. So anyway, Raja runs into the ring to go and I guess, you know, run interference or whatever. Syko Stu turns around. Raja picks him up in what I assume was going to be a variation of the Alabama Slam that was made famous by Bob Hardcore Holly. And it turns out that's what it was. Raja took Syko Stu down with a hard Alabama slam on the ring mat, and you could actually see Syko Stu's head hit the canvas so hard to the point where his head does bounce a little bit. And then you can see Syko Stu is laid out, his arms are splayed out, you know, so obviously he is out cold. And as if that wasn't enough, Raja gets over top, and this is where the PTSD hits me. Raja gets over top Syko Stu, and he starts just pound caking the hell out of him. You know what I mean? With some say it was like 21 shots, some say it was 20, some say it was 22, but roughly a little over 20 shots. I'll give it that. Even though he actually did swing more than he landed, and people were standing around and watching this happen. Sounds an awful lot like a certain situation I was in at one point. But anyway, let me get my overall final thoughts on this whole situation, because yeah, this is seriously fucked up. Basically, people were standing around for a little bit until finally, I think a couple of wrestlers managed to get Raja off, and they managed to get him out of the ring, and Syko Stu's opponent pins him. Referee counts to 3. Why, I don't know. It's like, dude, you should just call the match off right then and there and got Syko Stu some help. But anyway, well, and the reason I say that is because apparently Syko Stu took some real serious damage. They said that a lot of his teeth got knocked out. Some bones in his face were broken, not fractured, broken. And he was in very serious critical condition. He was choking on his teeth, choking on his own blood and everything. It was bad. He's fine now, but the dude damn near died, not just once but twice. He flatlined twice, but last I heard, he's still alive. He's still up. And breathing and everything. So thank goodness for that. And it looks like Raja, from what I'm seeing, is maybe facing some serious charges. Honestly, I really hope they get this dude for attempted murder, because that's just not cool. That's not right. You shook a dude's hand. You left him with the impression like, yo, everything's cool, everything was squashed, right? It was just a little misunderstanding, no big deal, right? And then you go and you do that shit to him, you slam him on the mat so hard, and then you start pound caking the hell out of his face and everything. Nah, dog. Nah. People can say what they want, but that is wrong. I've heard various wrestlers give their statements. Most of them do agree that yes, Raja should, be go up on charges and everything. Should be charged, basically for attempted murder. I believe Steven Richards said that on his channel. Maven, I believe, said that too. There's some people who gave the most horrible take, Mark Henry being one of them. Yeah, I pretty much lost respect for Mark Henry, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. RVD left some weird statement too, but I think it's because he doesn't know the full extent of what happened. I don't think he actually saw the footage, in all fairness. And then of course, Jeff Jarrett, who I also follow on YouTube, gave his take as well, with Conrad Thompson, who he teams up with in doing a podcast with. And so yeah, now here's where the PTSD, like I said, kicked in, man. Seeing Raja Jackson standing over, or not really standing over, but mounting Syko Stu and just hitting the shit out of him, it took me back to the point in time in my life. This was back in the early 2000s. This was back in 2007, April 2007. I told the story before. My longtime followers, you guys know the story, but so this is gonna be for all the more recent new subscribers to the channel that haven't heard the story. And yes, it is the story that I referenced in my new song Villain that I just dropped on the channel. so I will be giving the backstory on this by basically saying, look, man. So back in April 2007, I was invited to a cousin's house, and it was him, 3 of his sisters at the time, his older brother and older sister. They were already out living on their own, you know what I mean, starting their lives. And it was a homie who was actually dating one of the sisters at the time. I think they just started dating at the time, if memory serves. That dude's gonna be important later on. And then another so-called friend who took liberties on your boy. So what happened was, me, my cousin, and then our so-called mutual homie, we all got drunk. I was probably one of the worst. I was blackout drunk. Yeah, I was pretty stupid, pretty reckless at this time. I was in my early 20s, and as a lot of people can attest to, you know what I mean, when you're in your early 20s, you tend to feel bulletproof. You tend to feel, unstoppable and untouchable. Your boy had to learn the hard way. He wasn't. So anyway, I got blackout drunk, and the only thing I can remember are like flashes. I remember at one point I'm like stumbling around, and then all of a sudden I'm being attacked by the so-called homie. We'll call him Josie. Not his real name. That's just what we called him to kind of like make fun of him, kind of bust his balls a bit and whatever. Give him a hard time, basically. So Josie attacks me while I'm blackout drunk, right? I'm too drunk to defend myself and everything. And he causes me to vomit. I was gonna say throw up, but same thing. And I remember seeing red vomit on the carpet. I don't know if it's from the red wine that somebody had brought, because we did have red wine and I did drink some. Although I'm leaning more towards it might actually be blood that's mixed in with the vomit, because the vomit was like a bright red. It wasn't like a dark red. It was like a bright red. So yeah, it was pretty obvious. I mean, you could clearly see what it was. And then at some point after that, the next thing I know, because again, I'm blacking out, before I knew it, I'm on my back, right? I'm lying on my back on the floor, and homeboy is standing over me and everything. Josie, he's standing over me, and he starts wailing on me, dude, punching the shit out of me. And I'm blackout drunk, dude. So I'm like this. I'm laid out. I don't even have my hands up. I'm not able to defend myself. And so yeah, he's wailing on me. Meanwhile, right next to where I was laying is this L-shaped couch that the family had in the house, right? Literally like inches right next to me, the 3 sisters were sitting right there, watching this dude who was not blood, not family, beat the dog shit out of your boy, who again was so freaking shit-faced, blackout drunk. And I'm literally looking up at them. I do remember one point I was looking up at them, and I'm literally reaching out for them like, yo, help me get this guy off of me. You know what I'm saying? Now, these aren't small girls. These are some thick girls, okay? So you mean to tell me 3 thick girls cannot get this one dude who wasn't even that big? He was only like, he was like a small dude, you know what I'm saying? He was probably like around, like maybe like a couple inches shorter than I am. I'm around 5'10". This dude was at least 5'6", 5'7". You know what I'm saying? These girls were roughly around his height. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, they were thick. You know what I'm saying? You mean to tell me the 3 of them together couldn't get this guy off me? And so, anyway, it goes on for a little bit. And luckily, one of the mutual homie of ours, that again was dating one of the sisters, he steps in. This is the guy that I told y'all to, you know, keep in mind and remember, because and he's very important right here. He finally steps in, and I remember him telling the dude, like, the fuck is wrong with you? I mean, the dude is clearly drunk. He's laid out on the floor. His hands aren't even up, and you're just taking full advantage of this whole situation right now by getting all your freaking shots in and whatever. And like what the fuck's wrong with you, dude? Like, that's such a bitch move. That is a pussy move you just did. And I do remember at one point him telling the three sisters, like, and y'all are messed up for just sitting there and watching this go on. That is your family, that is your blood that you are watching, you know, damn near, you know, getting beat to death. I mean, yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I do remember him telling them, and y'all better hope that he wakes up the next morning, because if he doesn't, you gotta face your aunt and uncle, your Theo and your Thea, and tell them what happened to him. Trust, it was pretty bad. As a matter of fact, the next morning, thank God, when I woke up, I remember feeling around my head. I was in so much pain, dude. I was hurting all over, because apparently he also kicked me too. I found out later on he also kicked me too while I was down. You know what I mean? Which goes to show you the kind of man that he is. And then I'm feeling around my head, dude. My head is literally covered in like lumps, dude. My head is like swollen. My head literally felt like a freaking soccer ball, dude. It was that bad. But somehow I managed to make it through the night. I woke up, you know, the next morning, the next day, you know what I'm saying? And I straight up just got up. I made a beeline for my truck that I owned at the time. Yeah, the white Silverado. I did that same truck that I'm talking about. Because this was back in 07, so this was months before I met the girl that I talked about in my Nice One remix. And so I remember getting into my truck, and I drove straight home. Made it home just fine. Got into the house. You know, my mom saw me, and of course, you know, naturally she was worried. She was like, "Oh my God, like, what happened to you?" Because I was messed up, man. Like, seriously, I was tore up. Like, that dude did a real number on me, and I had to basically, you know, explain the situation, tell her what happened, and she was freaking pissed off, as any real mother should. You know what I'm saying? When their kid's been attacked. You know what I'm saying? And so I went straight to my room. Went and passed out in my room. I fell asleep on my bed in my room. And one of my cousins from now the cousins whose house I went to, they're from my mom's side of the family. But I do remember one of my cousins from my father's side of the family actually stopping by at the house, because I guess word got out to them. Because while all this was happening, I'm literally trying to text for help. I'm trying to text, you know, somebody for help. Unfortunately, I was too drunk to put in all the details, so I tried to text my brother-in-law, tried to text my sister and let them know what was going on. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to tell them like where I was, so they can come get me. But I guess they must have talked to one of my cousins on my dad's side of the family or whatever, because she caught wind. And I remember she came, or at least my mom told me she came and to check on me, you know, and she kind of looked in on me or whatever, you know. I saw that I was passed out on my bed and whatever. And so yeah, word spread throughout our family, dude. And on my mom's side of the family, word spread up to, of course, up the ladder through the family hierarchy, you know what I mean, till eventually it reached my grandmother, who I've heard that when she found out, she was literally in tears. Yeah, that situation brought my grandmother to tears, and that was a huge wake-up call for me. Yeah, it was a crazy situation, a scary situation, you know what I mean? Because, man, that could have been it for me, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, it was a lesson learned, because months later, went back to the cousin's house for another gathering, and I thought maybe because, you know, he was aware of what happened, he wouldn't want anything to do with that fool anymore. That dude Josie. But no, he invites Josie back to the house. Yeah. And instead of having Josie leave, if anything, since he was already there, he tells me, get this, he tells me, all right, look, I voted, I invited homie back, and I have you here now. I don't want there to be any fighting. I talked to him, told him the same thing, whatever. Like, dude was basically trying to protect that dude from me. How are you going to protect somebody that's not blood against somebody who is blood? Like, please make that make sense to me. This goes to show you the kind of oddball person my cousin is. So I was like, and I should have left right then and there, but I'm actually glad I didn't. And here's why. I was like, all right, you know, like just kind of played it off like, all right, remember, you told me not to do nothing. You told me not to fight with nobody, right? Respect the rules of the house, right? Okay. So everything was going good. This party was going good. Nobody was fighting nobody. Everyone was chill. Everyone was being mindful of how much, you know, alcohol they were taking in. Until all of a sudden, I guess some of Josie's crew were showing up to the house. I guess he invited his crew to the house without permission. But anyway, but my cousin let these people in for what reason, I don't know. But it ended up turning bad, to the point where one of our other cousins who showed up actually got stabbed below the rib cage by one of Josie's crew. Now, that cousin is still alive. He's okay. I'm not going to say his name out of respect for the privacy. I'm not going to say any of the family members' names out of respect for their privacy and for legal reasons as well. I'm not trying to get sued. So anyway, that's why I didn't say names too in the song. But so anyway, another cousin gets stabbed below the rib cage because this guy invited Josie back to the house, and that's what led to Josie, you know, inviting his crew over. Turned out to be the biggest mistake ever. And so after the one cousin got stabbed, all of a sudden fight started breaking out. You know what I mean? And luckily we got it out to the street, out to the front of the house, to the street. And I remember seeing both the cousin that got stabbed and the host, my other cousin, the host, who also warned me not to fight with nobody. So, okay, I'm not going to fight nobody because you told me not to. Those two and another homie were putting the boots to the guy that stabbed one of my cousins. That stabbed the cousin that was cut below the ribcage. And I remember being out there, and I managed to get one of the homies who was drunk back to the house. Basically told him, like, dude, go chill back at the house. I'm pretty sure cops are going to be called. I'm going to see about getting, you know, the primos back to the house, you know, with us. You know what I mean? So just go chill back at the house. All right, cool, whatever. The cousin that was stabbed, I believe, bumped into me next. Told him same thing. Dude, the homie's back at the house with the girls. You know what I'm saying? So go back there. I'm gonna go get, you know, our cousin. We'll call him Gino, who's the host and the one who warned me not to fight nobody. I'm gonna get Gino back to the house. All right, you go over there. All right, back to the house. Go chill there. I'm gonna get him. All right. And then all of a sudden the homie goes back out there to the fray because he sees our primo Gino still out there. Even though I kept telling him, I'm gonna get him, y'all just stay there. Gino finally bumps into me once so far, but he was cool, he was straight, and I basically told him, dude, just go back to the house with the girls. I'm gonna get the homies, and I'm gonna get the other primo. So just chill at the house, all right? Just stay there. And he's like, nah, fuck that, man. They're still out there. Blah, blah, blah. Pushes me aside and goes back out there. Like, all right, dude. So anyway, before I know it, he bumps into me again, but then this time he's stumbling, and I'm like, yo, G, you all right, bro? Like, what's going on? And before I know it, he's planting himself against the doorway, and I'll never forget this image of his side profile being caked in blood, and it draped all the way from, like, I want to say, like, up here, from like the top of his head here, all the way down his face, all the way down his neck, excuse me. And the girl he was with at the time, luckily she came up when she did, because I told her, yo, get him the fuck out of here, get him to the nearest, you know, hospital, clinic, whatever, just get him out of here, get him some help. And luckily they lived nearby a clinic that was able to save my cousin G. And so, yeah, man, it was a whole crazy situation. But so yeah, this whole Rampage or Raja Jackson thing, yeah, it just took me back to that time, dude. And I was having flashbacks of that whole time frame, man. Like what happened to me at that April 2007 party, and then what followed months later. I believe it was July, when that party I just told you, in that fight, that big brawl broke out. Yeah, that was back in July. That was only like a few months later. And yeah, man, it's a crazy situation, man. But anyway, my thing is, man, when it comes to situations like this at a wrestling event, make sure that if you're gonna have an outsider in there, make sure they're smartened up, make sure they know how the game is played, make sure that, you know, they feel like they are actually part of the show. Don't leave them not smartened up. And in an event like what happened with me, I just learned, dude, don't be mindful with the company that you keep. I guess that should be the common theme here in both scenarios. Be mindful of the company that you keep. Be careful around the people that you trust, because I guess later there one of the wrestlers that used to wrestle for Nox Pro, I guess he appeared on a podcast, and he basically said that he was done with Nox Pro. He goes, yeah, man, those people would rather watch us die than save us. And it's like, dude, I can't be in that environment. Dude, that's how I felt. You know what I'm saying? During that time frame when all that shit happened with me and our family. It's like, dude, I can't be around these people. These people would rather watch me die. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah. Yeah, man. So yeah, man, I hope they get Raja Jackson charged up. You know what I mean? Put him up on charges. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, there needs to be consequences when it comes to stuff like that, dude. You don't play around with stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You don't let shit like that slide, dude. You know what I mean? And yeah. So yeah, if there's anything I can say as far as like I said, because Stu, I can relate to Stu a lot in that situation. I guess that's why I really felt the need to share the story of my personal experience. You know what I mean? Because when I saw Stu being laid out there and getting just pounded on, dude, it reminded me of me when I got attacked, and my family, my blood, they just stood by and watched, and it took someone else who wasn't blood to get that dude off me. It was a very similar situation. It was seeing that scenario play out. You know what I mean? It was like lightning striking twice. You know what I mean? It was like history repeating itself, dude. It was, yeah, it was pretty bad. I've watched people's reactions to it, and I tried to look away when it came to the part where Raja was pounding the shit out of Stu, man, because it's like, dude, it's just can't, man. It's just bad, dude. And like the amount of rage that dude has, not healthy. I've heard Raja had, like, I guess he had like a concussion or something, so I guess that's why he was really upset when Stu hit him with the beer can. But it's like, dude, homie didn't know. Like, someone should have smartened him up too. You know what I mean? There should have been some communication. You know what I mean? There should have been some precautions taken to make sure that everybody was aware of this, of what needed to be done for the show, so that way stuff like this couldn't be avoided. And again, going back to my situation, man, learn from my mistakes. All you young guys out there, right, who think that you're bulletproof, you're untouchable, you better get that mindset out of your dome right now, dude, because like the Tupac and Outlaw song goes, you can be touched. You can be touched. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, if you're not careful. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Alright, y'all. Pretty much just my overall thoughts on the situation here, and of course, you know, and how it affected me and everything. Appreciate everyone taking the time to watch the video. Y'all know the deal. Like, comment, share, and of course subscribe, especially if you're new and you're digging the vibes. It's your boy JJV saying that. Yo, I'm out. And until next one, y'all bless one. All right, peace.